Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we are starting chapter 2 of the Explorer Academy, The Nebula Secret, a novel written by Trudi Trueit. And this book is brought to you by National Geographic Publishers. Chapter 2. That must have been some tsunami, said his dad, locking the door of the surf shop behind Cruz. Huh? You look a little bit dazed, son. I'm okay. You cut your leg? I did. Cruz glanced down to see a red line of blood dripping from a gash on his right ankle. I guess I snagged it on some coral. His dad led him to the bathroom in the back of the store. He cleaned the wound. It's a good cut, but it doesn't look like it needs stitches. I think you'll live. His dad's words, meant to be soothing, sent a shudder through Cruz. He was lucky to be alive. Maybe Cruz should tell his dad what really happened. If he did, though, his father might change his mind about the academy. Dad was already on the fence as it was. At first, he hadn't wanted Cruz to go to the school. He'd said Cruz was too young and it was too far from home, and the expeditions were too dangerous. But they both knew there was only one reason behind his objection, and it had nothing to do with age, distance, or risk. After Cruz's mother died, his father had moved them back to Kauai, where he grew up. Starting over wasn't easy, but they managed. Cruz's dad opened the Goofy Foot surf shop. Cruz enrolled in a new school and made friends. They found things to do to keep busy on the weekends. They surfed every great and not so great beach on the island. They hiked dozens of trails from Sleeping Giant in the east to Waupo Falls in the west. They even took a rock climbing class. In time, Cruz and his father began to heal. Things were stable now. Not perfect, but no longer raw and painful. Like the beach at low tide, life had a steady and sure rhythm to it. Now Cruz wanted to return to the place where their family had been torn apart, to possibly open the wounds all over again. I'm not sure I understand. His father had stared at him in wonder. After all that's happened, why would you want to go back there? I want to go everywhere, Dad. I want to be an explorer. You were so young. How could you remember? That much was true. Cruz was 5 when his mother died. Maybe if he could recall more about their life before this one, he wouldn't feel such an urge to go. He'd be satisfied or terrified. Cruz? His father was nudging him back to the present. Yeah? I said you're not hurt anywhere else, are you? Did you hit your head? No. Why don't you go on up? I'll finish here. By the way, Lainey came by. She did? Cruz wondered why she hadn't come down to the beach. She left something for you. 1 sec. His dad went to the front of the store and returned with a small turquoise gift bag. Fishing through layers of tissue paper, Cruz took out a card and a white square box. He opened the card. Now you can control Mel anywhere, anytime. Well, not anywhere. Your range is about 4,000 feet. Aloha, Lonnie. P.S. I told you I could do it. Cruz lifted the lid off the box. Sitting on a cushion of cotton was a tiny pin in the shape of a honeycomb. He let out a laugh. Leave it to Lonnie to not only take him up on a dare, but to come through. She did it. His dad hilted his head. What is it? It's to communicate with Mel, said Cruz, holding the pin up between his thumb and index finger. Lonnie made a voice command remote, so I don't have to use the controller or my phone. I'm pretty sure her mom helped her with it, but still. She's a smart one, that little Lonnie, said his dad. Forgetting about his ankle, Cruz zipped up the back stairs to their apartment above the store. He raced to the bedroom and attached the pin to his t-shirt. Mel, turn on, he said loudly and clearly. The tiny carbon fiber bee sitting on his shelf flashed its eyes from black to gold. The remote worked. Mel, come to me, said Cruz. Within seconds, the computer honeybee, only slightly larger than a real bee, hovered inches from his nose. Mel, sit on my shoulder, he said. The bee obeyed. Wild! Cruz fired up his computer. The second Lanny answered the video call, he burst out, Mel, speak and wave to Lanny on the computer. Buzzing, Mel wagged an antenna. Lonnie laughed and waved back. I'm just so glad it works. It's perfect. Admiration dripped from his words. Make sure you give it clear commands, okay? I will. Thanks, Lonnie. You're welcome, she beamed. Hey, how come you didn't come down to the beach? Asked Cruz. I don't know. Her smile melted. I figured you'd want to be alone last day and all. You should have. He checked behind him to make sure his dad hadn't come up. You are not going to believe what happened to me. What? Someone tried to drown me. Sure they did. I'm not kidding, he said. They grabbed my leg and tried to drag me underwater. I'll bet it was one of those lifeguards pulling a prank. Who's that kid that's always throwing grapes at us when we go by? Manu or Mano, somebody. It wasn't a lifeguard, Lonnie. It was someone in scuba gear, fins, mask, tank, the works. I'm telling you, he tried to kill me and he almost did. Her expression changed when she realized he wasn't joking. Who would want to hurt you? I don't know. Are you okay? He turned his ankle. It stopped throbbing. Yeah. Your dad must have freaked out when you told him. I didn't exactly. Told me what? Cruz spun around. Hi, Dad. She means about the coral. He turned back to Lonnie. Nah, he's seen me much do worse than that. Cruz made an O shape with his mouth to signal her. He didn't want his dad to know anymore. She got the message. Have a good trip, Cruz. Be safe, okay? I will. Because if you don't watch your step, I'll track you down all the way to the North Pole. I know. Cruz touched the honeycomb pin. Thanks again. Aloha, she said, her voice cracking. Aloha. His screen went dark. Cruz's dad was sitting on the edge of the bed, a cream-colored envelope in his hand. Is that for me? Prompted Cruz. His father tapped the envelope against his knee. Yep. Another 30 seconds passed. You, planning on handing it over this year? Teased Cruz. He guessed it must have had money in it. His dad always had a hard time parting with dollars. That's a good question. His dad rubbed his forehead. Sorry, I'm not quite sure how to do this. Cruz sat up. Maybe it wasn't cash after all. I've practiced it 1,000 times, said his father. Now I can't seem... Well, I guess I should say it and be done with it, right? That's what you always tell me. Okay, here goes. Straight out. Just gonna say it. Dad! It's a letter from your mother. Cruz jumped and Mel fell off his shoulder. The bee quickly recovered and circled up to land on him again. Mel, turn off, ordered Cruz, catching the robotic insect. He placed it on his desk. It's from Mom? I don't get it. How? We never talked about her projects, explained his dad, but I knew her work at the synthesis was difficult, even dangerous. I made her a promise that if anything ever happened, I would give this letter to you on your 13th birthday. But I won't be 13 until November 29th, I know, he said. But you'll be at the academy then, and it doesn't seem right to make you wait until winter break. I did promise, but... He stood up. It's bad timing now, isn't it? You're leaving in a couple hours. What was I thinking? We should do this later. No! Cruz leaped up. Was his dad kidding? Cruz had no intention of waiting even one more minute for a letter from his mother. It's okay, Dad, he said gently, holding out his hand. I can handle it. His dad placed the envelope in Cruz's outstretched palm, his body instantly relaxing, as if he was glad to finally be rid of the burden. He saw Cruz's open suitcase on the bed. Y'all packed? Pretty much. You sure you want to take that? He nodded to the silver metal dome the size of a small snow globe tucked into the corner of the suitcase. Why not? It's more delicate than it looks. It could break on the flight or get confiscated if the authorities think it's a weapon. His dad was right, of course. He couldn't risk losing his most prized possession. Cruz's shoulders sagged. I'll leave it. Don't worry, it'll be safe here. Standing, his father headed for the door. You should take a cat nap if you can, son. It's a long flight. Dad? Cruz held up the letter. Don't you want to? No. It's for you. I'll wake you in an hour. He left, softly shutting the door behind him. Cruz stared at the parchment envelope, turned it over a few times. There was no writing on either side, not even his name. What was he waiting for? Cruz slid his index finger under the flap, and it easily popped up. His pulse quickened. He took out a thin, folded page made from the same creamy paper as the envelope. Gently, Cruz unfolded it. The black ink was a little faded, and the slanted handwriting like delicate lace. My dearest Cruz, if you are reading this, it means I am not with you, and for that I am truly and deeply sorry. Bringing you into the world and watching you grow has been my greatest joy. I would love nothing more than to be there in person to give you a birthday hug, but sadly this letter will have to do. My wish for you this year and all the years to come is a life filled with discovery, passion, contribution, friendship, kindness, peace, and love. These are the things that give our lives meaning, whether we live for a day or a century. Happy 13th birthday. Never forget you are an extraordinary being. Most important, never forget I love you, Mom. Sometimes Cruz missed his mother so much it hurt, physically hurt. Like when you have the flu and ache from your bones out. Cruz took the metal dome from his suitcase. It felt cold. Placing it on his nightstand, he tapped the side. Instantly, a three-dimensional holographic video recording of his mother appeared, a few inches above its silver projection base. Cruz was in the video too. He was about 3 years old. They were at the beach, and he didn't know where, but it must have been chilly because they were both bundled up. Cruz was wearing a yellow raincoat with ducks and a matching hat. In his yellow galoshes, he was intently digging a trench around himself with a red plastic shovel. Watching him create his own little island in the sand and knowing she'd have to rescue him when finished, his mother couldn't resist giggling. Her long blonde hair billowed in the brisk wind like a festival of kites. "Look at him dig, Marco," his mother said to his dad, who was behind the camera, "our budding archaeologist." "And you were so hoping he'd go into neurobiology," teased his dad. "He can do both," she said, turning to her child. "You can do anything you set your mind to, Cruiser." "Mama, help!" It was strange watching his tiny younger self hold out his little arms to her. Bending to scoop him up, her gray-blue eyes crinkled with happiness. The scene flickered, then faded into nothing, with the two of them locked in a tight hug. Seeing his mother usually comforted Cruz, but not this time, not tonight. Tonight, he hurt. Thanks for listening. Next time, we'll pick up with Chapter 3.